How's it going, friends and family of the internet? Welcome to the Real AF TV podcast, a show about fishing and random takes from the land of 10,000 lakes. I'm one of your hosts, Josh LaBaw.
And I am Tim Wagner.
Tim, for us, this is close together recording. I think
it is.
It feels like it because I was on vacation and stuff like that, and you're on vacation. We're taking our little summer breaks, but we're keeping the podcast going. Without putting a date on it. That's what I'll say.
Right. As far as recording goes, we're like a week apart from the recordings, which may be evident to people too, because we might be referring to the icast being like, it was like last weekend or whatever weekend.
Right. Yeah. We may accidentally let that go. Yeah. So that's why we do this shit. But
that's how it goes, man. I listen to other podcasts and they're just like, well, I actually don't know when this one will be coming out, but and sometimes you're like, damn, that was recorded like months ago.
Right.
Because of the reference they make.
Because they make a reference, right? And it was like, yep.
We're never that far apart, but I totally get it. Like some of these guys, you know, like Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer and them, like they got crazy busy schedules. You know, and they're putting out a weekly podcast. Those guys got a batch record like 5, 6, 7 episodes.
Totally,
in a day.
Dude. Yeah. Like they have a wardrobe department at their little podcast studio. So that way they can like change, you know, degrease from the lights and get back on the mic. I mean, think about it. When they go on tour, they're still releasing podcasts from the studio. And you're like, I know Tom is in fucking Seattle tonight.
Tom had the gnarliest tour that like anybody's ever done.
The Coming Everywhere tour?
Yeah, I'm Coming Everywhere. I mean, it's named. And he did like 300 shows. I watched his stand-up special. He says it right at the beginning. Like it says like 300 shows and however many. It was like a year and a half long. And he did just so much. Yeah. But now he's rich. So, I mean, he was doing well for himself already, but that many shows and some of them are stadiums, like he's killing it. So,
it's great. It's great to see that. That guy's funny. That's all there is to it. That guy's funny and he's good.
Oh, yeah.
And he's a hustler.
Sure. Yeah. One of my faves. I've been listening to him for years. I'm not going to say since day one. I don't know when he started. That's always a funny brag to me from people. They just be like, I've been there since day one.
Right.
Like, that's awesome. I'm glad you learned about him right away. Some of these people you don't hear about right away. Like, you can't brag about all that shit. Just, I've been there I was there at the very first episode of the podcast. Like, that's crazy. I don't know how you...
Right. Like, how did you even... Like, I get it if you've listened to the entire log, but like the entire backlog. Okay.
Right.
So that's your hobby. Your hobby is to listen to this podcast. Good for you. Yeah. Okay. But you were there on February 1st of fucking 2021 or, you know, of February 1st of 2019. Like the shit you were.
Yeah.
You know, whatever
to listen
year.
to the first podcast, which is like, where did you even hear about it from? It's not like this is a new franchise sports team where the whole state has been buzzing about it for months. And then
as they've been applying to the NBA to get a new, or like, you know.
Yeah. It's just whatever. I get that people can be excited about it, just being like, I knew about it before anybody else. But it's like, I don't know why that's a bragging point for some people. Or when you just be like, I've been listening to it. Yeah, but have you been listening since day one?
Yeah, that's the part that
Has anybody been listening since day one?
Right.
Me, bro. Right here. Yes, I have. I'm number one fan. Don't even act like you're number one fan. Okay, dude.
And to everybody listening to our podcast, thank you. This is episode 7. Like, this is going to be episode 74. We are going to jump into our icast 2023. I think this is going to be an annual special now for as long as icast is around and as long as the Real AF TV podcast is around.
I love talking about it. So I
know. And E3's dead. So there's not really like an E3 episode. It's just like, well, we'll do a half hour, 45-minute random take about what's happening in the summer games, but there's no like giant video game one. So it's like, I think we would be able to pair icast and E3 together and just do like a 2.5 hour podcast.
Yeah.
So I'm just super excited about a real life show. And now I have a reason to get into the fishing show, and it's fucking rad. So I think that we're just gonna try to do an hour and a half, 2 hours straight through. I won't even do the ads. We're just gonna buzz through this one, man.
Dude, I gotta say too, in case anybody out there of importance is listening, because I came to the realization the other day that like I honestly think my dream job would be the buyer for a fishing company. Like the other day, there's Omnia Fishing here in Minnesota, and they basically just buy lures and soft baits and like there's like trolling motors and the new electronics and stuff. But those guys are going to the icast every year just to look at all the new stuff and basically just being like, damn, that thing's cool. Like pre-order, get that on,
right.
Writing all down. Just I'm addicted to going into a store and looking at all the new lures and buying the shit anyways. And then like I could just do that as a living. That would be phenomenal.
And Tim, I'm going to up your resume for you as a friend, a colleague, someone who's been as professional colleague and as a, friend. We've done so in your, like professionally, you're a talker, you're an engager. You just get along with people. And even if you don't get along with people, you know how to BS those 10 minutes of time to make a good impression.
Yeah, dude.
Which is something that's needed for someone going to shows like that, because these salespeople that run these shows are always engaging people. That's their job. You have to have a certain personality to do that. But you've been a salesperson before.
True.
You now have a logistics background from being a driver for how many years? So you understand, like if somebody's dropping some shit like, oh, we're actually based up here, but we manufacture over here and we warehouse here and all this stuff. And it's just like, you can start to connect those dots a lot easier than somebody who has never dealt with shipping at all.
That's the truest statement. Yeah,
so your resume is actually pretty deep for a fishing buyer, man.
I like it. I liked it. So that was not even me bragging myself up. Josh is helping out. So if you're listening and you're looking for a buyer, I don't have any experience in that, except for I have 2 tackle boxes full of shit. You
don't have any experience in that specific thing.
I don't have any,
but you have a lot of experience to bring to the table.
Right.
That's for sure.
And I'm a quick learner, and I will definitely, like, if you're like, we need to train you in or whatever, because I'm assuming most guys that would just go shopping for fishing stuff wouldn't know what to do as a buyer or whatever. I will definitely I will give it 100%. I'm not going to say 110% because that's a stupid ass saying.
Yep.
You can't give more than 100%, but I'll give it 100%. I'm a realist, man. What the hell? Can I give you a fictional number? No. I play real with you,
Right. But if you want to get in contact with us, I can tell you how. Go to realaf.tv/contact and bam, we get those emails. Or you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and even in the YouTube comments, we are at RealAFTV, youtube.com/@RealAFTV. Remember, real like fish and real. Yeah. We're out there. If you look up Real AFTV on any of the social medias, we're there. Yeah. We're there. We get these things. Also Patreon. Hey, if you want to help us, go to icast someday. That's a lot of funds to ask for. So that's why I'm laughing about it.
True. Like we're not
patreon.com/realAFTV.
Obviously we don't expect you to we're not just being like, help us fund the whole thing. We can't spend any money. It's like,
right.
Help us out with anything. That's what we're getting at.
That's really all it is.
If you want to help us out, whatever. If you're like, I can't help you, as far as funds go.
Yep.
But I can give you a phone call to make sure that you're up at the right time in the morning so you don't miss your flight. Hey, whatever you want to do to help.
That's cool. Yep. Because we got direct messaging on Patreon, specifically only exclusive for patrons. And so, whoa.
Shit out of me. I'm down here all by myself. I forgot I had my fucking battery pack plugged into my phone, and I moved it, and it fell on this plastic. I have my ice fishing rod case here still because I don't need it for anything else right now. Just sitting next to me, and it fell on that. That scared the shit out of me because there's nobody else down here. I'm like, what the fuck?
What the fuck was that?
What is happening? I've never had a noise down here at all. That scared me. Sorry, I don't know if I was loud on the mic because I was like, what the fuck?
It did make a weird sound, that's for sure. So if you were freaked out by that noise, don't worry. It was Tim. So that's it. Okay. You know what? I'm going to call that whole entire beginning housekeeping, and we're going to jump in now here into the fishing topic.
Sploosh.
We do not have fishing news. We do not have a random take. This is a special episode, and I think that's how we're going to keep it. This seems like this is a big deal. So that's what I was trying to get through at the beginning there.
That the icast episodes will be the same.
Yeah, I think, we did one last year. We did over 2 hours last year on icast. We did, we're going to do a lot here, and we got our time limit that we're trying to keep it in. But anyways, it's a big event, and I think that making it an event, one of the few event podcasts that we do, like Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year, stuff like that. The New Year one is wishy-washy, but I think it's fun to make this straight through, no breaks, no ads. Just we start it, we chat, we get icast in, and we're done. I think it's fun to keep it that way. So let's plan on keeping it that way. Let's do that. Let's put that on wax.
I like it.
If you're listening to this as it dropped, icast was on July 11th and 14th. So I know that we're, a few weeks away, but you got to gather your information, you got to take your time, watch some icast videos and look at some gears and stuff like that. Tim?
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever told you this, but we have done experimental footage. I don't know if we put it on social media, but we probably should. You remember that time we were trying to get a pike to strike by casting a camera and reeling in a camera?
Yes. Yeah, I was actually just talking about that today with a guy because...
Oh, really?
It's one of the guys that I like, one of my pickups, and he was asking me, he's like swim baits, do those work? And I'm like, that's such a loaded question for a guy like me. I'm just like,
for a guy like me.
We're gonna get into the weeds here, and and I just was like, okay, well, I go, it depends on what you're going for. And I was like, because different sizes can catch you different things. Bass will eat swim baits, muskies, northerns will definitely eat swim baits. And then I was just like, and then how you retrieve it and all this other shit. And I was kind of touching on a bunch of different stuff. And I was like, and because northerns, if you're just in the right spot, because I was like, the other part is like, you need to be where the fish are. And I was like, if you're where northerns are and you're casting in a swim bait, they're going to eat it. If you're just reeling it fast or whatever, you're going to get bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then I told them, because they just eat whatever. And I have video proof that they just ate a GoPro because it was shiny and moving in the water. It doesn't need to be. It was an old one. I told him it's an old box that's moving all stupid in the water.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't look anything like food.
Nope.
And it still bit it.
Yep.
Because it was just like, what is that? Is that something I can eat?
And I remember editing it now, so it definitely is out there on social media somewhere, but maybe I'll try to get it posted again, because we're talking about it. And the reason why I brought it up is because we were just experimenting at the time. I've always been a camera guy, and it was one of those situations where I came to you with an idea, and you were like, oh yeah, this is how we can make that happen. And I got a spot. Let's give it a shot. And sure enough, it fucking worked.
Yeah.
And you being the fisherman, you were like, I just saw you reeling, and I was like, nothing. So you gonna try again? And you're like, oh no, it hit it.
Yeah. It
Like
was like,
I was just like, what? And you're like, oh no, I felt it.
yeah.
There's nothing I can do. There's no hooks or anything like that, but I know it hit it. I could feel it. And I'm
Yeah. I was
like,
like, I
oh
felt
shit, we
something,
gotta
dude.
go put the SD card in the computer. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was, if I remember correctly, it was a little bit more confusion. Like, I think I felt something, dude.
oh, okay.
And then we go back to look at it, and we're just like
Yep.
video evidence. When we slow it down, you can clearly see like one of the still frames. You're like, I'm pretty sure I just saw a fish. Like, didn't I?
Yep.
And then one of the still frames, like you can clearly see like the gills, like
Yep.
because the
Like in its
lens
mouth,
itself is
essentially.
in his mouth. You're like,
Right.
damn, dude, look at that.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Because you said, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I do think that's what it was. You're right. Like you were pretty sure, but you're like, this
Yeah.
is weird. I've never
Well, it felt like something.
reeled in a GoPro before. I've never reeled in a
Yeah.
camera. So where I'm
'Cause I
going with
think-
all this? What's that?
I was just gonna say because I think it was one of those where it was just like I felt some resistance,
Right.
like for a moment. And
Right.
I felt like it got stuck on weeds or whatever, maybe. But I think we were above all the weeds, and I didn't catch any weeds. I don't
Right.
know. Let's go look. And then,
Yeah.
damn,
I
look at
just
that.
remember we were just like, we went in and checked, and yeah. So where I'm going with all that is that experiment has always had my mind going, and that was years ago, about like, could we put a fin on it and make it more stable, or how could we position it so it'd be hydrodynamic enough to like put a leader on? I didn't have the
Yeah.
words for that at the time until we started doing the podcast, but I was always like,
Yeah.
in my brain, I was always trying to figure out, and I should have just came up to you and we should have spent a weekend on it. We probably could have done it. But I'm thinking to myself, like, how do you do this where you could like catch a fish on camera? And
Yeah.
well, Weston, a Scandinavian company, like they're called Weston
Yeah.
Scandinavia, they came to icast with an inline camera.
Yeah, dude.
Did you see that thing?
Yeah, because they won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want one
I'm
so
trying to,
bad,
like,
dude.
I have notes. If you catch me looking down, I have notes, and I like save stuff on my phone. I'm like, damn it, I got that someplace. Where the hell?
Well, you keep looking for it because I just wanted to say, like, that's what it is, dude. It's like a torpedo that you can put a leader on, and they had footage, and it's exactly what I pictured in my head that we started working on. And I was just like, I knew this had to be something that was coming along. I knew this had to be something someone was working on. And dude, I'm so pumped. I want one. I tried to look them up, and this is the weirdest thing. So I went to their website, and they,
Yeah.
Since they're the manufacturer, they sell to distributors, to retail outlets.
Right.
And so it's like, oh, find where to buy. And I put in our area,
Yeah.
and one fucking runnings in like, I don't even remember where, but it was like north of St. Paul or something like that came up. Runnings.
Yeah. Runnings has good. The Runnings in like near us, if anybody's listening near us, the Runnings in Monticello has a phenomenal fishing section.
It might have been that Runnings then. I don't know.
It is big. The Runnings that we have here in St. Cloud, because we have a Runnings in St. Cloud now, not as good. It's not terrible, but it's, I mean, maybe a quarter of the size that they have in Monticello. The Monticello one is a big.
I was going to say,
like,
that has to be a big fucking store then. So maybe it was that one. I just don't even remember it because I was like, bullshit that a Running's going to have this. And I totally dismissed it. But now.
Yeah.
So if you hit that Runnings up for any fishing gear, dude, and you see this fucking, the Weston fishing camera, you tell me how much that fucker is. What is it called?
The Weston Escape Cam.
Thank you. I did not write the name. I was too fucking overwhelmed by the footage and the fact that this thing exists now.
And it's cool. It's got like 3 fins on it. So it definitely makes it like, that was our biggest problem. Like our footage is the camera, and it's going like like back and forth because obviously you reel it. It's moving. This has those 3 fins, and the way it's being pulled through the water, it's going to be stable as hell.
Yeah.
And it even looks like it's like a steel leader that's mounted to it. And it.
Oh, you think that leader comes with the.
I don't know for sure, but the one picture that I have here is like a steel leader with a lure attached to it.
Yep,
But the front treble hook is removed, and it's like, I don't know what's up with this. Yeah. But this is Weston themselves. This is Weston Cam
on Instagram.
Weston _ Cam is their thing. So if you're trying to check it out,
head over there and see this thing over there. That's why I didn't try to describe it, because I know this is a podcast after all.
Right.
I do usually, we try to lead into it more, but like you said it looks like it's a mini torpedo with, I don't know, steel leader on it. Like, what more? It was a good photo, but there's nothing more to describe.
Right. Because the footage itself is very kind of hard to watch because it's moving around, and then you can just see that there's a fish and clearly you bit it. But before that, you're kind of like, okay, what am I? What? Oh shit! There was a fish.
Oh, you're talking about our footage.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Right. And that's why I said when we did that, it was always in my mind, like, okay, we should figure out a way to put fins on it or something, and how to make it hydrodynamic and stable and whatever. And like, here it is. Finally, this thing exists. I want one. Holy shit.
Yeah. So it won best of category electronics.
Okay.
So I don't know if the category was like cameras or what, because there's other electronic stuff, and I got some of that here.
Right, and I don't have that. Different. Like, I have that near the bottom, but we'll get we'll bring it up organically. I'm just saying in the bottom of my notes, because there's one thing that I wanted to bring up just quick and see where you have it, and we'll see how it goes. So this is in production gear. I just said production gear. That's where I put that camera.
Oh sure, okay.
They did try to sell it to like for fishing, in the sense of like, oh yeah, you can just cast this thing out and then reel it through and then throw the SD card in your phone and you can see what's out there, and then you know what to fish, what you're fishing for, and all this other stuff. And I'm like,
oh
yeah, I get that you're selling it at icast, a fishing thing. This thing is for production. This is a production. For sure. This is totally a production camera. Nobody's gonna fucking. That's way too complicated. I got a fish finder. I'm gonna be fine.
I was gonna say, I could see some of the. I could see it where like you cast it in, if there was a way to do it like faster.
You'd have to have a whole other setup.
Yeah,
you'd have to have a 2-rod setup.
Yeah, I mean, like if you could just hook it on there, cast it out. But I mean, to even look at the footage.
Like,
there's clearly no like viewing screen on the camera, so you got to hook it up to whatever you got to put it on.
Yep.
To whatever it happens to be. I don't know what it has. I'm assuming it's like a micro SD card. So whatever you have that you can hook that up to real quick, and then who's bringing a laptop with them out onto?
No, they have cell phone adapters, like one for an iPhone and one for USB-C and one for old iPhones.
Oh, they do for the camera, so you can.
But you have to then pop the camera open, pull out the SD card, put the SD card in the mount, and then mount it into your phone, and then open the app.
I see. You're saying they have the adapter for the SD card, right?
Right.
I thought
comes with the camera.
I misunderstood. I thought you were saying that there was an adapter, for that camera. Like
essentially
like,
there
plug
is.
It in.
You're not. You're not really wrong.
But like you said, you're pulling it in after you're just like, hopefully that was the cast I wanted to make. Because then what happens? You think you made the cast you wanted to see. You take it all apart, put in your SD card, watch the video, and you're just like, damn it, I wasn't even in the right spot. And you cast it. And so, yeah, it's 100% for production, especially if you have, like, the professionals are going to be out there, using all the different forward-facing sonars and all that shit that they have.
But even just a traditional fish finder and some knowledge, you're gonna know what's out there.
That one fisherman, I can't remember what his name was, but he did win that one stop on the tournament because he was using the AquaView. So maybe if they come up with a live way, if they're able to hook it to a monitor,
I think there will be a version 2. I think there will be a version 2 that has Wi-Fi that works when it's out of the water, because we found out Wi-Fi doesn't work underwater. And maybe that is, I don't know enough about Wi-Fi currently, but it is a radio wave that's meant to go through air specifically.
Yes.
I don't know enough about the actual engineering of it, but you remember when we had the GoPro with the Wi-Fi in it and we put it underwater and it shut off the Wi-Fi.
I didn't remember that, but that does make sense.
Yeah, but when you pull it out and it's still running, it'll connect to Wi-Fi again. So I think there will be a version 2 of this. They're probably already working on it, that you cast it out and it's already connected to your phone through a Wi-Fi network. Your phone's going to say it lost connection. It's going to sit there and just keep looking because there's going to be a specific app. And then when you pull it out, the Wi-Fi network will connect again, and then you'll be able to rewind and play and stuff straight from there. So that's the one way that it could get better. But dude, I'll buy 1.0. I'm in. This thing's fucking cool. If this is a reasonable price and I have the money for more production gear, Real AFTV is going to be getting it. Because this is the other thing. Just quick side note. This is patreon.com/Real AFTV. We're trying to build something and get you to help us. Like, we want to build something along with the people out there, and stuff like this is the things that we want to do to bring to you, so that way, because we have creative ideas around this. Obviously, already we tested an idea like this years ago,
right? Yeah, and like you said, learn that like fins and a different kind of camera would work well, and then they just go, you ain't wrong.
So I don't want to dwell on this camera anymore. That was enough.
Sure.
Because it's a small part. I thought it was going to be a small part, but it has everything to do with Real AFTV, and that's why we went on a rant, a tear there.
Whoa, yeah. Production is a big part. Oh, Jesus. What the fuck is going on?
Oh, no. That sounded like something shattered.
No, it was just a tripod that for some reason was standing awkwardly, and it fell over.
Yeah. So
now I've knocked over 2 things. I've done this podcast so many different times and not knocked over anything.
Now here we are on the icast special. You're trying to make a case why you would like to be approached by future employees, and you're wrecking shit in your own studio.
I'm not excited about what happens next. It's just like the ghosts are real. I think we're just doing icast 2023 has become the paranormal podcast.
We're switching gears half an hour in.
Okay. Anyways.
Okay, so one more production gear thing that I don't actually think is a production gear purchase necessarily, but I'm going to bring it up now, and I want to see if you heard. Did you hear about that scale that Bubba made?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to go into it now, or do you want to save that for electronics?
Well, we can go into it now. We might as well. Like, I didn't look into it a ton.
Okay.
But I did see they were talking about how that was going to be the official scale of, I think they said the MLF.
Yep. The MLF. Yeah, they signed a deal with the MLF.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because of its capabilities, it'll like show real time the weights and stuff. It'll communicate, so everybody will see like as soon as somebody weighs it in.
Yep.
Bingo bango.
They scored a deal with the MLF to sync straight to their live tracker live.
Okay. Yes.
Their score tracker live. That's what it's called. The MLF score tracker live. It's going to be fed by the data from this scale.
Sure. Yeah.
So I think there's still going to be an official on the boat from the way it sounds, but also MLF is big, right? MLF is not just those big ones that make it on TV, right?
Right. Yeah.
So maybe this is their way of making the other tournaments bigger. But they did say it was going to sync up with their live tracker scorekeeper thingy. So
right. It's like Bass has smaller tournaments too that you don't always see. So it's cool.
Sure.
Because it's basically, it's almost like the pros and the minor leagues and stuff. Like there's guys working their ways up, it's not just we got to go find our talent from other pools. It's like we got some guys that have been like really killing it at this level. Mm-hmm. Like, let's invite them up, like obviously they still need to pay. Like, I don't know if people are familiar with that, but you have to pay to get in these tournaments. It's not like you just get to go in them.
Yeah, the tournament money is
but
part in pot. It's part of a pot,
Right.
basically. You know,
Yeah.
like obviously not all of the money is raised just by these fishers putting in, a amount that comes out to $100,000. Bass has a lot of
Right.
sponsorships and ad money and stuff like that makes
Sure.
that pot so big. But the point being is, yeah, you have to buy in. I mean, you have the potential to win $100,000. You have to buy your way into this and earn
Right.
your way first, and
Right.
then buy your way
Exactly.
in,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. You can't just go straight to the top. You can't just be like, I have $1,000. They'll just be like, sweet. You know,
Right.
and it's more than 1,000 or whatever.
But I get
Yeah.
exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
So
But they just capitalized, man, because what they saw with, I mean, it was already kind of going this route anyways, but when COVID hit,
yeah,
they were just like, outdoor stuff is stuff that we can do. What if we just make it so it's like digital? Like you go
Right.
out and fish and you weigh
Yep.
in your fish and then you just like record it back.
Yep.
And it's real time. And then they started doing those kind of tournaments where they weren't even keeping fish and bringing them in. You're just weighing them and like getting a record of everything that you're
Yep.
doing. And then at the end of the day, they just tell you who's winning.
Right.
And then they actually came out. This isn't Bubba. I can't remember who all did this stuff, but there was actually a couple of tournaments where I heard of them actually doing it of like a bigger free for all, where I don't think it was like a huge payout, but it was almost kind of like one of those like sweepstakes type deals where they're like, it's free, everybody can do it, and it doesn't matter what lake it is, just like go weigh your shit and let us know. So it was kind of something like that, and I didn't follow that too close, but I did hear of stuff happening like that. So you can go and fish your lake, you can go and fish your area, you know. It's like,
right.
And then they broke it down into like a regional thing, because obviously, like, we have a huge disadvantage against people down south
when it comes to like bass fishing. Yeah,
when it comes to bass fishing, and they can catch fish that we definitely don't have a chance at catching. So
right.
It's stuff like that where you start seeing this, and you know, even if you only had a couple of those scales, you just be like, all right, well, here's our, you know, there's the leaderboard or whatever,
right,
and this boat has that scale or whatever it might be. Like, you got to find these people. That guy is the one that you want to see or whatever it happens to be. So
yeah.
And I didn't look at the price point. I would assume these aren't cheap.
No,
Bubba doesn't. Right. Nothing that Bubba sells is really that cheap. Like, even their fillet knives that are just the knife itself, like not an electric one, are like $60, which isn't crazy. They make good quality stuff.
Yeah,
you know, there's obviously knives that are way more expensive than that,
and way cheaper too.
Right.
You know,
exactly, way cheaper. I don't have any knives that are $60, so
right.
but it's like, it's definitely a very cool idea, and they capitalized on it, and then they got the recognition, you know, like, hey,
for sure,
this is dope, you win.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And did you see, like, the reason why I put it under production gear is because there's no, if you have one of these and you turn it on, there's no secret spots anymore. You know, there's no like, which is fine. Which I know that me and you, we've talked about, like, you hate how like you're out on the same lake and everything like this, and the lake's not that big. And, you know, you go to the local bar and people are like, and you see someone at the landing and you're like, nice, limited sunnies, huh? Where were you? And they'll just lie to you, or they'll just kind of pull the like, I don't know, this is over. And you're like, you're fucking getting off the lake. I'm just getting in. What is the deal here? Like, what's with the secret spot thing? That, you know. But anyways, the secret spot thing is what I'm saying is, like, there is no more secret spots, because what you can do is, like, you could fish a lake, I could fish a lake. You turn on the map, you sync the app to the scale. Yeah. And it just starts sending it to the app, and then you can share the app. So, like, we could have a tournament just like you said, and just share it, you know? Yeah. The real AF TV community could, like, watch a tournament unfold in real time or something, you know, like, that's why I put it under production gear. I can see a lot of possibilities with something like this, even though it's I don't think it's realistic at this time.
Yeah.
It just brings up a lot of thoughts.
I was even thinking of like how it recorded and like showed everything, that you could almost just like take that information and almost do like a split screen, like just pull that information up.
Oh, in real time. Yeah.
And then even if not in real time, just like editing purposes.
In the editing.
If you were doing a video and you're just like, here's that, and then you weighed that fish.
Yeah.
And then you can pull up like you have you here, and then you kind of almost, you could have like a slightly translucent, where it's not like completely just solid. It's just like here. Yeah. The overlay where it's just like, here's, where it was weighed. And then you can just kind of like record it as it goes on, and just be able to give people that visual.
And you could really tell a story with that.
Too. Yeah. Cause when you have a scale, when people weigh it, they'll be like, just like I show it on my phone here, sometimes they'll have it and they'll just be like, okay, it's they're weighing the fish and they go, it's 2.7, and they'll like show the camera real quick. And then you wouldn't even have to do that 2.7, and you literally see,
just do it in post,
the thing. Yeah, exactly. The scale. In post, it just show you what's going on, and it give you all that information. You just hit them real quick with it, like where they are in the lake, all that other stuff. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. In post, if you have all that information, you just get the screenshots of what you got there, right, and be able to show that real quick. I think that'd be dope.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, I've dominated the first 40 hours talking about the production gear.
Domination.
Tim, take over. I feel like I brought two things to the table that just took over too far.
That's okay. I had both of those on my list. We're just talking about what you were excited about, what you saw. I was excited about it. And now I have other things. I will talk about some other stuff. I was writing down some of it. It's like AFCO won 3 different awards in like shoes and 2 shirts. Who fucking cares?
Okay, let's glaze over wear really quick. Yep, looks cool as shit. I probably should just get some fishing gear that I just wear in the fall while I'm doing my job at my computer, because it looks light and fluffy, but like warm enough to be, nice fall gear. But who gives a shit? And I just would skip through those parts when I was watching videos, or I would just scroll past as I'm reading articles.
I would just like, when I was looking at it, that's all I could think of. Like when we talk about it on the podcast, it's like, obviously I'm just, joking around here. And if you wanted that stuff, that's some shit. Like, they won awards. Clearly it's good stuff. If that's what you're into, look into it, figure it out. Right. I'm not going to be sitting here and just being like, let me put on my glasses. It looks like I have a polyurethane, not polyurethane or whatever. Like, it's a blend. It stretches nice. It protects you from the sun. It fights off warlocks or whatever. Just like, I don't know. Who cares? It's just clothes. That's not what we're here to talk about. We're talking about what they got going on. And there was a couple of different things, and some of the different stuff I found was funny. I wrote down some different stuff. There was different, like, if you really want to get into a lot of this stuff, there's different things that were just like, some of it was real subtle. Like, VMC won the best terminal tackle.
Yeah, dude.
With a swinging Ned rig.
Dude, that thing was crazy.
Yeah. And it's cool because it's like, it's not super crazy. There's not a whole lot going on there, but it has.
I've never seen anything like it. That's why it blows my mind.
So there's been like some swinging, like jointed rigs like that before. Like, you can get like a Texas rig where it's got like a bullet weight, and then it has like a worm, like a wide gap hook on the end. And there's been a couple of different things that have come out, and some have failed, some haven't. Some look kind of gimmicky. Like, you're like, what is this? I know I had one at one point that had this weird corkscrewy thing, and they're just like, it's super easy to like take off the hooks and like put a new hook on. And I was just like, cool. Yeah, that sounds kind of cool. And I like got it. And then it was like practically like, why the fuck am I switching hooks? And like, the weight is what I would switch, like at first, like they get you and you're like,
sure.
The weight would be what I switch. I don't know. I guess I could switch the baits real quick, but I'm talking soft plastics here. Like I just take off the soft plastic and put another one on the hook. Anyways, there was weird stuff like that. But this one here, it's jointed, so it gives like it won't necessarily be the greatest thing in all applications, but in a Ned rig, a lot of times you're trying to use like a floating bait. Like the soft plastic is like a formula where it floats because a Ned rig sits down and then the float and bait kind of makes it stand up and then it just sits there. Almost like it's, if you wiggle it a little bit, it looks kind of like a fish that's, like feeding on the bottom or whatever it might be doing.
Okay.
And, it is not necessarily always a fish. It might be a crayfish or whatever it happens to be, but it looks like it's kind of just like nose into the bottom or tail into the bottom, whatever your bait is trying to mimic. And in this circumstance, because it's jointed, it's going to move like the other ones. It's your Ned rig and then the hook is there and it's solid. So when it hits the ground, it just kind of sits there.
Yeah. So the weight and the hook are just like facing towards the surface of the water and they're just stuck in place, right?
Exactly. Yeah. It just kind of sits there. It'll have a little bit of movement, but with that jointed one, it's going to it has the freedom to move kind of wherever it wants.
Yeah.
And
that's what it
they also said that the rigidity of the two can actually hurt your chances of landing a fish. Like the hook can come out more because of that weight, and the hook is one piece. Like I don't necessarily understand the science of how that works. Like I don't.
But they must have done tank tests and shit like that to be able to even create it. But they must have to say shit like that.
And I've heard people say stuff like that too. And maybe tomorrow, if I get better sleep, I'll be able to understand it. But right now, I'm just like, I'll take your word for it. It's like, but the jointed is supposed to help you. But the other nice thing about it, and they've done this on a couple other VMC hooks, and maybe other people, other hooks out there have done this too. So I'm not sitting here being like, this is exclusive. Like nobody else has had this idea. But they actually have a fluorocarbon bait keeper. Like some of them have different little metal pieces or a metal barb that they put on there. And the one thing I didn't even think about until now when I heard the guy talking about it from VMC was that they don't compromise the hook with what they do because it has that fluorocarbon and there's a resin that holds that piece of fluorocarbon on there. So the fluorocarbon is kind of like a little spike. Think of it just like a little pokey thing that's going to not let something slide over it. And the resin is basically just gluing it there. So instead of like welding it or like whatever they're doing to the hook to put another piece of metal on there to possibly compromise the strength of that hook, it's not happening because the resin is just holding that piece of fluorocarbon there. And I'm just like, damn, dude, I never even thought about that. Like, so I don't necessarily know how other hooks are made, but some of the different hook keepers have different setups. Like it's a different style. So I can't give any specific examples of just being like now that he says it, this one sucks shit. I know it does, but I don't.
But you heard it and you're like, oh, that sounds new. That sounds like I get what he's explaining on a different level, right? Like, and you're just, I don't know if I've seen this before.
Yeah, and I have some hooks that are off the top of my head. I can't remember what they're called, but they're for like the chicken rig, the tiny child rig, like all those. There's a bunch of variations that are very close to the same thing. And it's like a straight shank hook that curves and it's got the hook, the bait keeper, and the way you put it on is different and you can do different angles. But the moral of the story is I have some of the hooks that already have that resin and fluorocarbon keeper on it. But this is just a different setup completely. So I know exactly what he's talking about. And I'm like, I thought it was dope on the hook I have. And this hook and Ned rig thing looks cool. Also, it's a completely different setup than what I'm looking at, you know, what I have hooks for. But it's neat.
Yeah, it was really neat. And I just put down, looks like a Steadicam. To get back to the production stuff, I was like, hey, that's totally like a Steadicam if you were to hold it. Like, it's just, Are you going to get some of those things? Because you talk
Hell
about
yeah,
rigs quite
dude.
a bit.
Everything I tell people about on this, I'm gonna buy, unless we're talking electronics or here's a good time to bring it up because I probably will never have it, but I think it's cool as shit. Is
Yeah.
the shit? What the fuck did I write here? Damn it.
I wish
I put the letters too close together. I have it. Shit. But what the other note that I wrote down was the e-bike kayak by Old Town Fishing.
Oh.
So Old Town, did you see that shit?
I didn't see that one, but I saw a really crazy kayak. Keep going. I didn't hear it. I didn't see this.
So Old Town Fishing is a kayak maker.
Okay.
And they have essentially an e-bike that, I mean, because you know how some of them have the pedals, right?
Yeah.
And so in the sense that I say e-bike, it has the electronic assist. So you're pedaling
in the kayak.
And it has,
because kayaks have pedals in them.
Yeah, some of them have
okay.
the pedals.
So an e-bike, right? Okay. Let me just tell you what's going through my head as I'm waiting for you to explain this. I'm thinking of a real deal e-bike where it's like it's got a really fat down bar that a battery sits in, but it's like a pedal bike with the electric assist.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where's this kayak company coming in with this bicycle?
Hell yeah, dude.
I fucking totally blew that one.
I get what you're talking about, but it's the EPDL Plus is what they're calling it. And it's the drive. I'm sure that they can put it on a number of different ones.
Sure.
But it's the pedals that you use to power your kayak. And then it has the electric assist. It has cruise control where you can set it like pure electric and burn out the battery a little bit faster.
No way.
Or you can just pedal it if you want to. Or you can do like a 50-50 deal. Like I don't have to pedal as hard and I'm still hauling ass. You know?
Yeah.
So it's like, damn, it's a great idea to just be like, we're going to put this technology into the pedals.
Right.
So you're going to be able to use it kind of like a trolling motor, and you can use it 100% like a trolling motor every once in a while.
Sure.
That cruise control feature will just cruise for you.
Right.
Like I need a break. My legs are tired or like I'm cramping up, whatever it might be.
Right.
I'm cramping up. And if I don't hit this button, I'm going to lose ground to this wind. I need this to take over for me, whatever it might be. There's a bunch of different applications that sound super sweet.
So killer.
Yeah. So I thought that was cool as shit. But I wrote down a bunch of different shit like for baits and stuff.
Yeah. Let's get into some baits, dude.
Well, I think maybe I'll just keep real quick hitting on the stuff that wasn't baits, so I'm not jumping around all over the place.
Oh, okay.
I didn't really put this shit in order. I just kind of wrote down different stuff.
Okay.
But I think you'll be excited about this shit because I thought it was fucking cool.
Okay.
And
hit me.
Power pole. So if you're familiar with power pole, right?
Yeah. The anchors in the back.
The anchors.
The kick-ass anchors.
The kick-ass anchors. They just go down and just stick. And Power Pole came out with a trolling motor. And that trolling motor won Best in Show for Electronics. Because not only is this, I wrote down, here's what I wrote down. Hopefully I can read this one. I wrote down, if the sub that imploded looked like the motor on this thing, I would trust it to take me to the bottom of the Great Lakes. But I'm not going to the bottom of the ocean and none of that shit. Are you kidding me? I don't care. If it's a military grade submarine, I'm not going down to the bottom of the ocean. One mistake and it implodes and it's just nothing left of it. No thanks. Plus it's super dark down there. That whole shit with that thing was stupid. You got one viewing window, but it's too dark to see anything.
What's the fucking point?
What's the point? You're watching it all on a screen, except for like what's the thrill? You're risking your life to watch this TV.
You know? I can go to the Buffalo Wild Wings in Uptown to do that.
Yeah, for real. I could put my TV on my back porch and put like 5K on a coffee table in front of me, and then just like put a sign that says "Come and take it," and then I like hold a shotgun and see like that's some risky business right there. Like, there's other things you can do if you really need to get a thrill of like I might die here. Just
watching the TV.
Yeah. watching a TV in public with money out and just being like tempting the criminals 3 a.m. Just like, come on, guys. Anyways, I'm getting into the weeds, but that what?
Well, I thought I saw the trolling motor that won Best in Show, but I don't think it was a power pole. So please keep going. Like, what does it look like?
I don't
Tell
know.
me
Maybe
more.
there's different categories or whatever, because I did hear that the Minn Kota came out with a new motor as well. And I actually seen I was looking at Omnia's stuff, and Bob Downey was talking about his trolling motor, how he's got the new one and it can go faster, because they're all coming out with like brushless motors.
Yep.
Now.
Yep.
And here's where it gets cool though. That motor, it looks
back
dope
to the power
shit,
pole
right?
one, right?
Yeah, back to the power pole one. So you got like the motor on the bottom looks cool. The way it's designed, it's not just like the torpedo looking thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the torpedo looking thing, and then the top has another part to it. Like if you see this thing, it looks a little bit different. It looks similar to what it is, but it looks like there's more going on there. Almost like it has some sort of a cockpit. Like if you blew it up, it would honestly feel like that's a spot where you could sit. Like there's your captain's seat.
What?
But then the pole goes up and it has another brushless motor when it turns. It has like 100 pounds of thrust, and they were like, the torque on this thing, it drives through weeds like it's in open water. Like weeds don't slow it down. It just chops the shit up. But here's the coolest part. Every part of the motor is modular.
Yes.
Any one piece breaks down, they will ship out the new piece, and they have videos to get you back on your feet. They'll just be like, here's the piece that broke.
Yeah.
Here's the video on how to fix it.
Holy shit.
That's awesome.
That
for
is
somebody
so
to
cool.
Just be like, you don't have to bring it into a like a licensed dealer to have them work on the shit. They're just like, everybody fixes shit on YouTube. Here's your piece. Here's the video.
Right. And here's our official mechanic at PowerPole making a video. Like, you didn't get some doofus that just is holding his iPhone, fumbles it every 3 seconds.
Yeah.
You know, forgets to take out the audio when he turns on the drill, and it just blows your ears out.
Right. Yeah. No, it's like, I'm sure I don't want to talk up it too much because I haven't seen the videos.
Right. But I mean, they're going to be better quality than what I just said.
It's not going to be garbage. Yeah. It might not be the best video in the world, but I'm sure it's not going to be garbage either. So, and the trolling motor looks good too. So it's not just like garbage. It looks good. They were talking about how it has the ability to do like the GPS with the spot lock and all that other stuff. So I don't know if they have licensing to work with like Humminbird or Lowrance or Garmin or any of that shit, but they were talking about how it has spot lock and stuff. So at the very least, it has GPS and it can handle doing that stuff.
Right.
Whether or not it communicates with your depth finders is still to be figured out. But I just thought that was the coolest shit to have it just be like, we've built it so every piece that can break can be fixed.
Right.
And if you want to fix it yourself, we're also going to hook you up with the knowledge to be able to do that. So I was like, damn, dude, that's so cool.
Sweet move.
I love it.
Very killer move on their part.
So I got another one. This isn't electronics. Before I get into some baits, because baits are always my favorite, I got to talk about a couple of rods.
Oh, yeah, dude.
I wrote down best saltwater is G.U. Loomis. And I wrote down, I'm sure it's nice.
Yep.
but the thing with the G Loomis is like, it's more of a, I can't even really explain it to you because I wrote down lots of technical jargon, like nothing to really report on without boring the shit out of you. Like I just wrote, like,
that's what your notes say.
It's like a bunch of like, it's really strong, it's light, it's good, you know, and it's like, I believe you and I bet it's awesome.
Right.
But nothing that I can really point out. But the freshwater rods, I got to get into this because if anybody hears this that was on the other side of this, suck a fart, bro. Because I I commented on it right away and I couldn't believe it. Here's the deal. Best new rod for freshwater is the St. Croix Mojo Bass Trigon.
Oh, the Trigon specifically.
Is
I
it
missed that
Dragon
part,
or
but
Trigon? I thought it Trigon.
oh, Trigon.
Yeah.
Trigon. Yes.
So the Mojo Bass was already in existence. That was a rod that existed.
Yep.
And honestly, the Mojo Glass is the next rod I have on my buy list. I want that for crankbait fishing because it's a fiberglass rod, and we don't need to get into that right now. But fiberglass for crankbaits is pretty much king. I don't know. There might be other stuff, but that's what I want. Anyways, the Trigon.
Yeah.
The cork is not made the same way as others. He didn't get into the manufacturing process, but he did said that traditionally the cork has always been made on a lathe.
So it has to be round.
So it's always round.
Yeah.
Now I've seen some that didn't look like they were round, but maybe it wasn't cork. Maybe it was some other manufactured material. So this is cork, but it's not round. And it's actually like a triangle shape. Because when you hold your hand, it's kind of a triangle shape.
I know. Like when you look at it, you're like, oh, dude, it is.
Yeah. And what I looked at when I seen this picture of it, without knowing anything, I looked at that handle and I said, damn, dude, that looks dope as shit. And then obviously it's Instagram page, so I wasn't dope as shit. I was like, that looks dope. Something like that.
Yeah.
Trying to keep it PG.
Yeah.
They're not the Really AFTV podcast.
Right.
This is us. This is how we talk. Deal with it. If you made it this far, God, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Anyways. So I'm looking at that and I said it's dope. When I said it's dope, I'm looking at the comments and a lot of the people are just like, what's up with that handle? Oh, I don't like that handle. And I'm just like, okay. God. So you're shitting on it because of the way it looks. People. Yeah. I think it looks cool as hell. And you're out here shitting on it just because of the looks and just like, you got to go back to the other handle. Like,
right.
Obviously, none of you guys have even held this. Why are we going based off of looks solely?
Right.
You understand, like, either you're not real fishermen or you're dumb. How are you just being like, oh, it looks dumb? Like, first off, I think it looks cool as shit. But second, you're just not going to use a rod because of the way you think it looks.
Right. Yeah, our silence speaks volumes, I think, in that one.
I'm out there fishing most mornings. Like, I'm not well kept. I don't shower before I go fishing early in the morning.
Right.
You really worried about image here?
Yeah.
Idiots. I said I thought they looked dope as hell right away. On Insta, I had to comment and saw others shitting on it. And then I wrote as big as I could with exclamation points. You were wrong. Of the year. Okay. So now you can probably stop shitting on it. The people know fishing said this is the best new freshwater rod.
Right.
So my exact thoughts right out the gate was, even if you don't like the way it looks, you're not going to try it. What if it's awesome? Turns out it's awesome.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Did you hear him? How they like came to, like, how St. Croix got to that design? He said that they worked with an engineer they worked with an engineer who had worked with the MLB and worked with the NFL and stuff like that. Yeah. Who said, like, guys,
that fancy word for sports science he used. Yeah.
Yeah. He just, exactly. And he's like, yeah, so we just consulted with the guy and he's just like, oh yeah, no, we've been working with the MLB and NFL and stuff like that. Yeah. And it's just like, dude, your hand's not round. Your hand isn't round.
Exactly. It's science. It's people science. Yeah. And that's what they use to do this.
Yeah.
And then people are just like, I don't really like the way it looks.
But it's triangle shaped.
Yeah.
It's not round. Yeah, I bet you it's fucking sweet. I can't wait to try one out in the store. Because at $140 or higher, I'm not going to get one. But
the picture I looked at, the one that I initially commented on, was like a profile shot. They couldn't even see that it was shaped different.
Oh, because it has those. Okay, so for anybody who
They're
hasn't
just
seen it
dumb.
yet, I mean, you should just Google it quick. But it's a triangle shape. That's what I just said, and the trigon. So it's like it basically has this. It's not hard corner triangle, so don't get crazy. But like, it's a triangle shape, rounded triangle shape, and because it's not your traditional round shape that had a cork done on a lathe, like Tim said, they've used these little black filler pieces. So they've been able to cut the cork thin enough to like fit one side of the triangle. And then there's another side of the triangle that has to overlap, but there's a seam there. There's like a black seam that, I don't know, it's a really slick line that just connects the
Dude,
two pieces of cork. That
that
line, they've
black,
done such a
that
good
line.
job, right?
That's what I'm talking about. It looks so good. That's why I thought like
it's almost got a
that
sports
black,
car feel to that line.
that's what I
think.
thought. That black line looks so stylish. I was like, damn, this is like a fishing rod from the future is what I thought. And then I couldn't believe people didn't like it. I'm just like, what do you want, dude? I don't get it. It didn't make any sense to me. I thought it looked so cool. And immediately people were like, ooh. And so I don't know.
So,
but
are you going to jump on rods, or are you going to keep going on the St. Croix?
I got nothing more for rods.
I got one more.
Oh, dude, hit me with the rod. I'm not going to talk about the reel. I was going to talk about a reel, but I have one thing for line, and then I have the baits that won, and then I have another one that didn't win, but I'm just super excited for.
Okay, so let's stick to rods quick, and then we'll go into line.
Yeah.
I love this like real-time production stuff we're doing. We fucking keep it real over here.
Yeah.
So,
hell yeah.
This rod, I had to bring this up because I had never seen anything like this. The Shimano Poison Ultima.
Whoa, dude, I didn't even hear about that one.
And
that sounds cool.
Yeah, dude, it does. And it looks cool. So it was a scroll stopper for me. I was flipping through, dude. I was reading through articles and I saw this photo and I went, okay, I'm going to read about this rod. $880 is what they had it listed at in this article. I want to make it clear. Dude. This was a rod.
Yeah.
Not a combo. This was Shimano's $880 fishing rod.
Yup. Yeah, Shimano has like more expensive stuff, and they all have that top end stuff. Daiwa's got some of that stuff on there. I shouldn't say they all, because like Pfluger doesn't have anything that gets close to that, So there's some companies that don't do the high end of the high end, but Daiwa has stuff like that.
Sure. Yeah, it seems normal.
Yeah. So that's
the thing back to like relate it to why these two rods were the ones that came up is because they had a change in grip. The one that this was a 2-photo thing that I seen in the article. It was just a nice looking rod, normal like hero shot sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then they had this close-up shot of a guy holding it in his forearm. And so like when he held it, it like really sat well on the forearm. And so it was like, does that make sense what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. Well, I'm actually kind of looking at the picture and it looks like the one side, like for a casting rod, looks kind of like flat.
Yeah. So it lays on your forearm real well.
Like, yeah. Well,
that makes sense. And I just thought, that's interesting.
Get you some torque if they try to pull it down. It's not all on your wrist. It's partially on your arm.
Yeah.
Damn, dude, that's nuts. Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
It looks gnarly as shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like the handle is completely different between a spinning rod and a casting rod too.
Oh.
Where like the reels on the bottom versus the reels on the top.
Right. I was hoping you were going to make that comment because of course my mind went there right away.
When I did it, I was just like, well,
that one is
if anybody was like, that looked like he was doing that. I'm just like, well, that's what you thought. Here it is.
Go over to YouTube and check that one out. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool, huh?
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. And the ultimate carbon mono cute, dude. What the fripp? What the fripp? I gotta look into some of this stuff. What the fripp was I looking at, bro? Dang, dude.
Dang, dude.
I don't even know about that shit.
Dang, dude, what the frick? I'm looking at her.
Dang, what the frick is this?
What accent is that? Doesn't matter.
That's like
made up
That's
southern.
like deep south in the bayou type shit. Hey man, what the frick is this?
Okay, line. What you got for line?
Is Shimano,
dude?
That
Mastiff.
We're talking, that Mastiff. So the crazy thing is, like, first off, I didn't know Shimano was in the line game.
Okay, good, because I was going to ask you that.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's brand new, but I don't see it all the time. Like Daiwa recently got into the line game too, and I don't think they were. Maybe they had been for a while. I should say that I know that they haven't been for, at least 5 years. So it's not like it's new, but
okay.
I didn't think that Shimano was in the line game. Shimano's typically been like all about like gears, like it's not they're not just into like the fishing stuff. Like there's like not BMX, like 10-speed bikes, 20-speed bikes or whatever they are, like that have Shimano gears.
Yep. Because Shimano's big, or was back when I was into bikes heavy. Yep.
Yeah. So they're just like, that's what I always knew them for. I personally didn't know that they had any lines. So I think this is brand new. But the Mastiff is a fluoro. He's saying like it's supple and all that other stuff. They all say that shit. So I don't know. I have to get out there and actually try it for myself. But what he did say that caught my attention was that it has micro ridges that you can't see by the naked eye. And the benefit to having that is that it's going to improve your knot strength and stuff.
Yeah.
Because those little ridges, when you tie it tight, it's actually going to like kind of lock together a little bit. So it's going to stop the line from slipping and all that other stuff. So you make a knot, and your knot that's normally good to begin with just became better.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about as much stuff,
Right.
And he did say that it's going to help like minimize line breaks. And it's like, I don't know if it has anything to do with the fish's teeth. Like those little ridges will actually help there too. Like if it makes it more durable, but it definitely helps your knot strength, and just that caught my attention. Just that one little piece. If it matches everything else with everything, but you have better knot strength, maybe it's worth
I know.
it. I guess I got to see what the price point is before I say like definitely go buy it. So
but, I'm right there with you. But like just to prove as like my inexperience with fishing, I regularly lose when I get out. I regularly lose one or two. From a shitty tie because I'm not that good, or I snipped it too short and I'm like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I do it. It's just my inexperience with it. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I could use some knot strength help, because I pull it up and it's just got a curly end and nothing else. And I'm like, God damn.
Yeah. I've had it happen a couple of times where it's like, for whatever reason, like the knot didn't get pulled like perfectly tight. And then when the fish does get hit or whatever, it's able to like slide a little bit, and then it comes out, and it's like, well, even if you don't get the knot perfect, I would still think that if it does what they claim it does, and those ridges are able to like lock it in a little bit, it's still going to work well for you,
Right. Yeah.
In an ideal situation, I'm pulling that thing tight and I just see that perfect knot at the bottom. Dude, when you knot, that's one of the most satisfying things you can do. When you knot it up perfect and you pull it tight and it just becomes that tight, perfect little knot at the end of your lure, you're just like, yes.
Yeah.
That's
I think that's why fly fishers are so like hyped on making their own flies.
Oh, yeah. That's when it gets done, dude.
When you do it,
satisfying.
And you see it.
Yeah, it is satisfying when you tie your own tie and then you get down to the end and you see that it looks like whatever bug, because I've watched it before. I've never tied a tie before, but I've watched it. Online, and it just shows me it, and it gets to a point, and then they like hold it up and I'm like, yeah, I guess it looks kind of like it, but then they show me a picture of it side by side and I'm like, damn, I bet floating on the top of the water that fish is gonna think that's that for sure. That's a good job. So I get excited. But all right, we're getting into some baits now, people.
First, can we jump into one thing that I gotta ask? I just have to ask this.
Hit it.
Sunline made a tapered leader. Is that new?
Oh, maybe.
I've never heard of a tapered leader, but it
I
was like
know.
12 pounds at the start and it was like 8 at the end. And I was just like, well, that's fucking interesting concept.
Oh, that I have never heard of.
Okay, that's what I thought too. So it really caught my
Yeah.
eye and I wrote it down and I was like, okay, they have a 10-foot leader. So I don't know who the fuck's using a 10-foot leader, but it was. And
Yeah.
I'm sure they come in different sizes because he said they have different sizes and weights and all this stuff. But this one, just to give it full context and why I thought it was so crazy, it's like it's a 10-foot leader and it's 12 pounds at the end that you tie to your, it's a 12-pound test that you tie
Yeah.
to your line, which is presumably 12 or more pounds. And it
Sure.
tapers down towards the hook to an 8-pound test.
So it gets lighter towards the hook.
Yeah.
That sounds crazy.
Because then they were just like, it's less visible to the fish as it goes towards the bait. It becomes, but the structure of the whole thing is more durable than just fishing 8 pounds than a fishing 8-pound test.
I mean,
I'm
that
like,
makes
what the
sense,
fuck, dude?
kind of, but also the 8-pound test is like, that's your weak point.
Right.
So, like, if you still only have 8-pound at that specific spot. So
okay,
if
good. Yeah.
pulling, I just don't. I would want to hear somebody explain that to me a little bit better because I don't see that. I was thinking the other way around. Like the 8-pound is what you have further, and you got 12-pound tests to be able to handle something biting a little bit better. But that doesn't really make a lot of sense either because then why not just have 12-pound leader material that you tie on? Like I do tie on. I will say too, I'm already a little bit iffy about Sunline because I have Sunline and it's a really good line. It's like supple and it's nice. 8-pound Sunline, I have to use leader material because if I get a pike to bite on, that lure or that jig is gone.
It's gone. Yeah.
The abrasive resistance on, I forget what the heck it's called. It's a Sunline that's called like a stealth or something. It's like a sneaky type name is what is in my head. I can't remember what it is.
Right. I got you.
That one versus my Seagar Invisex, I don't get bit off nearly as much with the Invisex. So those are like in the same price point, but I have leader material that I tie on. So I'm going to have to look into that more because I don't know necessarily what the benefit is because some of the other guys will definitely do where they'll put, I've heard, you have your braided line that goes down to like your leader material.
Okay.
And the leader material, they will on purpose make sure that it's a lighter line than the rest of it. So then if you do end up you're breaking your line, you're not trying to like dick around with more. You're only losing that point. Or maybe it was something too with like a drop shot where like if the weight gets caught on some rocks, if they're fishing in the rocks, that they make sure that the line from the hook to the drop shot is lighter than the line from the hook to your reel. So you can just snap that off and then tie on a new weight. Right. Depending on the hook, they don't
depending on your
like
full
that,
set. Right. But we're not talking about that. But that's all I really wanted to hear is just like this seems so strange to me. I wanted to hear somebody who actually knows what I'm saying you can interpret like the real world application. And it's just like I get that you're kind of just going like, I'm not sure.
I mean, I can get why you would want lighter line closer to the hook, but I don't understand how it would benefit to have thicker line above that.
To have the leader
like that's
just
still your
bigger.
Yeah, that's still your weak point. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like why not just have 12-pound line go to an 8-pound leader?
Right. If I gotta walk across the bridge and most of it's rated to hold a lot of weight and some of it's rated to hold not much, I'd still be like, that fucking spot over there is gonna break still though. I don't want to go on. It's not, that part's not rated for this shit. Yeah. It's like, I don't.
I like the way you put it though, that you said like, I think I need somebody more to explain that. Cause so like, you're not shitting on the idea. You just can't, as a
Yeah.
real world fisherman who does put lighter leads on stronger, on, bigger. Like, you may have 12-pound on and then and put on an 8-pound leader,
Right.
and you understand the concept of what that is and what it would do, but to have them fused into one, so that's exactly all I wanted to hear, is just like, okay,
Yeah.
we can go
Yeah.
into baits. I just
Yeah.
really thought it was weird.
No, that's a good thing to bring up, because I am curious, and I'll definitely have to look into that, because I didn't see that. And I don't know.
Yeah, right. You don't know. Let's jump into
Nope.
baits. You got one you want
All
to
right.
kick off with?
I got a couple of them. Yeah. So first, I'm gonna hit it with the best saltwater bait, because I'm excited about it. I don't saltwater fish, but I am excited
Right.
about this because it's the best saltwater soft bait. Is the Z-Man Mulletron.
Mulletron.
Yeah,
Yeah,
bro.
dude.
And the thing that I'm excited about that is, like, it's a
Is that
bigger swim
Berkeley
bait.
or Z-Man their
No,
own thing?
Z-Man. It's Z-Man.
Oh
This
shit,
one's Z-Man.
I had Berkeley down. Whoops.
Well, Berkeley's the freshwater.
Oh,
This is the saltwater.
my bad.
We're talking saltwater here. And here's why I'm excited. Two different things. First off, it's a bigger swim bait. It's got a rattle inside the thing. It is made. I said two different things, but like, this is just me explaining the thing. I know this is more than two things. This is me explaining the bait. It's a bigger swim bait, just like a paddle tail style swim bait.
Yep.
It has a rattle chamber inside the bait. It is made out of Z-Man's Elastec material, which is super durable.
110 times stronger or something like that.
Oh yes, it literally says what you said. Yeah, it's like, I don't know if it's 10 times or 110 times, but yeah, it's stronger than the competition for sure. Because there's a couple of different, like, power bait has like something like that too, where it's like, smells way stronger than the rest of them or whatever. I don't know. It's on the packages. I just know what they are. I don't look at that shit anymore. I just go, I need this one and that color. Oh, look at that color.
Yeah, you're over that like extra marketing material.
Yeah, I don't care. Like, sometimes if it's brand new, then I'll look at the bag and try to understand it. Like last year's icast big bait made their sensational, like with sense. Fun. Yeah, you get it. So it's like that, where it was like, okay, I gotta look into this one, because I don't know about it. They're talking about more stink. How much more stink? What are we talking about here?
What are we talking about here? So this stretchy material that Z-Man uses, I forget the name of it. It's super strong. Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it good for taking the bite, or like what exactly is that?
It is so crazy stretchy and durable that it's actually kind of hard to put on your hooks.
What?
Because it's hard to push a hook into it.
No way.
Yeah, because it's stretchy as hell. But once you learn how to put it on the hook, it's like, the amount of effort that it takes you to put it on your hook sometimes is worth it, because once it's on your hook, that shit's on there, dude. It's not coming. They're not ripping off a claw. If I'm using like a crayfish style bait and the claws are moving, a sunfish or a bluegill isn't going to come and rip that claw off. It's going to be in one piece when I get it back up to the boat. Whereas some of the other baits I've had, like Guggen, dude, I like your guys' shit, like, as far as your video production goes, but your baits need to be more durable, because you cast that thing out, it goes to the bottom, you feel one tick, you reel it up, and then you're like, oh, sunfish ripped off the claw. Now I must grab the next one, and your 6-pack goes in like a half, like that. It's gone. Yeah. Anyways, the Mulletron has a through hook, or through bait hook. So it's just like a one hook on the swim bait that goes in the top, and the line goes through it and ties on like that. So it's a different kind of style, where it looks like the hook's almost like more exposed, ready to roll, instead of how you hook, which is nice because of how the Z-Man Elastec is kind of hard to rig up like that. It's nice to just have a pocket where the hook is sitting there and not you're trying to poke it through, so it's just barely going through the surface or whatever it happens to be.
Yeah.
First off, it's a big bait that they made out of Elastec, which is cool. So I'm excited about that. But I'm excited for future applications to come because this will play a big role in the bass world when we start talking about different colors, because up until now, Z-Man has good colors, but that's all they are. They're colors. This is the first time they have photo printed onto their Elastec.
Yeah.
So now we're talking, once we start getting into bait that's not mullets from saltwater and the different bait fish that you find in your local pond or lake or whatever you fish.
Yep.
That's what's got me excited.
Yeah.
And
it reminds me of like the gillies that they do, the realistic gillies. Those are photo printed on. And if you don't know about it,
yep.
Yeah. Gillies are fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah, Power Bait does it with a couple of different things. They got some shad style paddle tails. I can't remember what they call those, and they have the like drop shot ones that I forget his last name, Jordan. My brain is like Jordan Peele, and I'm like, no, it's not him. It's I can't remember. Anyways, it's called the Champ. It's like a little minnow that works really good on like a drop shot, but those are photo printed. And the first time I saw those, I'm like, look at how realistic. It's a soft plastic that looks like a hard bait. I was like, damn, that's cool. So yeah.
So what's the Mulletron? Why does this got you so pumped? I mean, for other applications.
Just because a big swim bait works. And in our lakes, that will catch bass, that will catch pike, and the application for a big elastic swim bait that I can use more than once. A soft bait that gets bit by a pike most of the time gets shredded pretty good. And you can still use it, but it starts getting gashes in it, and those gashes eventually, deteriorate.
Right.
If you have a hard time poking a hook through it, it's just going to be like a chew toy to a pike, So I think that's what I'm excited for, because I fish a lot of bodies of water that I shouldn't say a lot of bodies of water. The water that I do fish.
You fish a lot.
I fish a lot, but I mean, like, I don't fish a whole lot of different bodies of water. I don't want people to think I'm fishing like a million different lakes, because I don't fish a lot. I fish a lot, but not a lot of bodies of water.
Right.
Anyways,
it doesn't matter.
Anyways, the point being is that there are toothy critters in our lakes.
Right.
And I'd like to be able to fish something that's soft plastic, and I don't have to worry about getting shredded every time I have something bite it. So that's exciting to me.
So is this going to be like, it won saltwater bait at icast? But is saltwater soft bait? You're right. Okay. Yep. Saltwater soft bait at icast 2023. It won that title.
Yes.
And you're excited for freshwater. Are you going to be able to find it? Like, could you could use this in freshwater? You're kind of making it sound like that. If you found the smaller,
I could order it. You can order it most of the time.
They're not, because we're not going to stock it up here, right? Like, you're not going to go to Runnings or Cabela's or Fleet Farm and find it, probably.
You might, though.
Yeah.
Because the weird thing about it is, like, the scents aren't necessarily like formulated for different saltwater or whatever. I think sometimes they're made to mimic it, but you can find salt. I don't know. I don't personally go for the saltwater stuff most of the time, because it's not the right colors for the waters that I'm fishing.
Right. Okay.
But there's definitely, like, if you go into your local stores, you could probably find the saltwater. Like, the best example I have is the Berkeley Gulp. Okay. The stuff that's made for freshwater is white and red packaging. The white and blue packaging is saltwater. It's technically meant for saltwater, and you can find that in most of the stores around here.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, it's just like they still sell it. Yeah, they still sell it sometimes, where they're just like, yeah, it's made for saltwater, but we know you guys want it. And a lot of those, though, are colored where it's like bright pink, bright yellows. People still want to buy those solid one colors.
Right.
I don't think we're going to be selling mullet in the stores around here.
Right.
So depending on what colors they come out with, I think it's a possibility. But when you start talking about, the photo printed fish that we don't have here, then I don't know. But you can order that stuff online, and Tackle Warehouse, for example.
Right.
I throw them out there because they're a bigger company that I think does deal with a lot of saltwater stuff as well.
Sure.
Where like Omnia Fishing is more local, and I don't know if they would have. I know they have some saltwater baits, and I bet they would have it. I bet they're going to get it because I
Just
bet
to
people are
see.
going to want to buy it.
Yeah.
Anyways, they'll have a little bit for to start. We'll see. I don't know.
So
But
this sort of, what am I trying to say here? Is it line through with the top hook, right?
Yep.
Is that how they put it? I was just trying to remember. I couldn't remember. I didn't necessarily have my notes. Okay, line through top hook swim baits.
Top hook line through swim bait. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, top hook line. So I saw Bass Mafia's Chris Zaldane's. I don't know if it's his company or whatever, or if that's his main sponsor.
I think I don't know if it's his company or not.
But he's super involved in them. No matter how you'd put it. So he was over at Bass Mafia's booth, and they had the loaded Zaldangerous swimmer, and it looks like what you're saying, but that guy's he fishes a lot of different things from what I get, but he's a Bass Master Pro.
Right. Yep.
And he said he's been developing, he said he had this, it's an 8-year-old idea. It's been in 2 years of dev. And I'm just going, well, it's a good thing you came out this year because I've seen 3 of them now.
Right. Yeah.
So did you see the Bass Mafia one? So
I probably have seen stuff similar to that, but he's not the only one. Mega Bass has these there's quite a few company that have through lines. I have a through line. I've never used it.
Okay.
I got it in one of my Monster Bass boxes. I haven't used it just because that one's like a treble hook through line. It's like it goes
I saw one of those
through and it goes on the bottom, and then you put the treble hook. So some of them are a little bit different.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily as weedless. It's more of an open water swim bait.
Yep.
And the structure of the lake that I mainly fish doesn't have a lot of like not weeded areas. I'm dealing with like weeds on most stuff. So that one just hasn't like the situation hasn't really presented itself.
Right. Where you're going to use it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But there's definitely more than one out there. It's all just, they start using their own formulas for the soft plastics, and they start doing this and that. So
and maybe a little bit of different channeling with the vine or whatever the case may be. Right. Okay, so I was under the impression, just the way that Chris presented it, because I'm new to this world of baits and prototypes and whatever, when it comes to that. I didn't really wrap my head around the fact that just because someone has spent a lot of time on it and made prototypes and things like that, it doesn't mean that it's brand new. It means that they're maybe modifying something slightly. There's more to the story than this is brand new.
Yeah, it's not like they're the first person to ever do it. Yeah, for sure. That that almost never happens. To see something that is like completely outside the box, like last year's Z-Man topwater bait.
Yep.
Where it's like that blade and then the stick bait and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's still just like a couple other lures put together, basically.
Right. But it was a new lure. I mean, like that was, whoa. I remember us going like, oh, that thing's crazy. Look at that. And, talking about that.
Yeah.
But it was more still like a combo.
Yeah.
I got you.
But speaking of Z-Man and saying like there's been slight tweaks and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
The freshwater hard bait was won by Z-Man as well. And that was the Evo chatterbait, I think it's like the Evo Elite chatterbait.
Okay.
I thought I heard him say it 2 different orders, but it's called the EVO and then chatterbait, which is crazy that they're like, this is why I wanted to say something about this, because where they're like, we've really like gave it more premium features and done this and that. And it was like, really? Because you have your original chatterbait, and then you have, now I'm probably getting this wrong because I can't remember if the jackhammer, I think that's the new topwater bait.
Okay.
But there's the chatterbait that they have, I think, is also called something like the jackhammer. The man jackhammer. I'm googling it, and
so
in case I'm not thinking about it, just seeing it. No, that is what it's called.
okay.
Jackhammer. Here's what I'm getting at. That jackhammer, the original chatterbait is like, I don't know exactly. We'll say $6.50, $7.
Okay.
The jackhammer is $15.99.
Jesus.
It is a $16 lure, and now they've upped it. But I don't know if they've upped the price or if they just upped the technology.
Or if they just upped it. Yeah,
but
like up the tech. Okay.
Yeah. So that's what I'm talking about, where we're talking about like just basically making stuff, because it says, or what I wrote down was that they basically just made the chatterbait the best they could, where they said that they tuned the blade like basically to perfection, so it starts working like as soon as you're cranking it, like barely moving it, because they tried a bunch of different shapes, a bunch of different like where it hinged, how far it could move back and forth. Like they really tried getting the perfect, doing what they could.
Yeah.
And the other part they were talking about was a hook keeper, where a lot of them have like one piece that can hold something on, and this one does like two pieces. And they're like, once you get your soft plastic on, it's staying where it needs to stay, which I think is a pretty big deal actually, because the chatterbait, that blade is moving back and forth like this.
Oh,
and
okay.
I think it could actually vibrate that stuff off and make it slide a little bit, but it has kind of like a ribbed piece of metal that's on a hook. AVMC did that resin. I don't know. Did we change the strength of that hook with that piece? I don't know. That's what they're talking about. VMC shit on you. What's up, Z-Man? Are you guys gonna fight? Anyways, so they have that. What the hell,
dude?
It's this plastic bottle. I've set it up like 5 times.
Yeah, but it's just the third time that something's just like loud noise and interrupted.
Ghosts are real. If the lights go out, I'm going to shit my pants.
And we're just going to end the podcast.
I'm not scared now, but if the lights turn off, if I lose power, just assume I'm dead.
From shitting yourself to death.
I would shit myself to death. Oh. So,
okay.
Anyways, so it's got that part on the hook. It's further back, like towards the towards the curve. Like normally you got the curve and then it goes up to the front, and then by the head they'll have some sort of a hook keeper. Like some of them, it's like a piece of metal that comes out and it's like a right angle almost. And then you're able to kind of like clip that in to the bait itself. Some of them are actually kind of like a safety pin style, where you can kind of like put it into the plastic and it'll kind of like clip around the hook, so it'll really lock it on there. But this one, it said that it has a hook keeper up towards the head, and then it also has that ribbed piece on the hook itself to stop it from sliding. So it's like, that sounds dope. Like two holding it in place.
Yeah,
that's got to be cool. But that's basically what they said. They were just like, here's the Evo. It's an upgraded version, and it has everything you want. And I'm like, I thought we got everything we wanted with the jackhammer. But I'm not going to argue. I just want to know what the price is.
Right. Did you have to go like $20 now or $25?
We talking $20 for a chatterbait? Because I don't know if I can afford that, man. Because a lot of times I'm casting those out without a leader, and that's way too scary. I mean, I tie on the leader material, I guess, but I also fish the lake with with muskies. We're not just talking about bigger northerns; we're talking about muskies as well. Like, my 12-pound fluorocarbon leader may not withstand some of the bites I get. So when we're talking $20, if that's what we are talking, I might have to go with the cheaper version and just hope. I mean, obviously, if you're talking tournament fishing and stuff, it's different. But
Right.
then you just cross your fingers you don't lose it, or if you get sponsorship, whatever. So we're talking best freshwater bait now, because the soft bait. That best freshwater soft bait is the Berkeley Nessie. And
yeah, dude.
Guess who's back, man? Because what are we at least? Hey, guess who's back?
I missed my cue because my mouse shut off.
Oh, damn.
So I literally had to wait for the mouse to reconnect, and then
that's right. I thought maybe we didn't really talk about that beforehand. I know I was just like, hey, get a guess who's back thing going. I didn't know what. I was just like, get whatever you want. And then we didn't talk about it, so I was like, I don't know if you got anything.
I knew that we didn't even really have to talk about it because I knew that you were gonna get it, and it was just like,
yeah,
I'm ready. Here, let's do it again. Let's take two.
All right, man. We're getting into the best freshwater soft bait, and guess who's back? Yeah, guess who's back? It's Berkeley in the top spot with the soft freshwater bait for like at least the fourth year in a row. I think it's gnarly. These guys keep hitting with them.
Man, Berkeley,
it's been
fucking blows my mind, dude. Yeah, and I've only really been following this stuff for 2-3 years. It's just like, what the fuck, man?
Last year, the hard bait was their hard bait with their chatterbait, because they had their, and then the soft bait was actually the trailer for their chatterbait, and now Z-Man's got the top spot with their chatterbait. But also chatterbait is a term like Kleenex. It's, I think, technically like a bladed jig. Anyways, so the year before that, I can't remember, but it was theirs. The year before that, I thought it was theirs too. So they just been hitting it with this, but this
dude,
Berkeley Nessie, is a soft plastic glide bait, like a swim bait, one joint in the middle.
Okay.
So it's like you can reel it and it'll swim like a swim bait, but it's not. You don't really call it a swim bait, because you can, when it glides, how it kind of swims, you can pause it and it'll kind of like turn like a dying fish. You can pop it back and forth. I don't know with the joint if you can really like walk the dog type thing, but like glide baits, a lot of times you could just like pop it and it'll kind of like boom, bam,
it'll go like quick left and then quick right, and
right. So I don't know if you can do that with this. I don't know, but here I got 2 points. So first off, there are 3 different sizes: a 5, a 7, and a 9-inch.
Jesus.
The 9-inch one, because we're talking soft plastic and not a hard bait, which a lot of these are, and I don't know if anybody makes a soft plate that's a single joint, like, or soft bait that's a single joint like this. There have been soft swim baits in the past. Like, I know I have a Siebel Magic Swimmer.
Okay.
That actually had like a weight system on the hook. I don't know if they still sell that anymore. It was just kind of like these rubber weights that you would put on the hook. But that looked like a sunfish, the one that I had, or a bluegill. And that was pretty cool, but it wasn't this. This actually has the 9-inch comes in at under 2 ounces.
What?
Which is big, because that means you don't have to dick around with getting new gear. You most likely will have to throw it on a little bit heavier rod anyways, because that's still a relatively big bait, 2 ounces. But coming in at under 2 ounces, if you were talking a hard bait, you're probably looking at 6 ounces or so, around there, just rough estimate guessing.
Sure, yeah.
And you're probably going to have to be throwing that stuff on like musky sized tackle.
Well, that's what I thought when you said 9-inch freaking soft bait anyway, because dude, like, I just got, we did it on one of the Christmas specials or whatever. We did the like present opening thing, and I got those those soft baits that are for walleye fishing. That package is fucking heavy to me. Like, it's rubber. I don't
Yeah.
know. Like
Yeah.
it's a rubber compound or something. It's fucking heavy in my opinion.
Yeah.
2 ounces on a 9-inch fucking
Yeah.
soft
Not
plastic? You
even.
gotta be kidding me.
Yeah. Not even. They said it comes in at just under 2 ounces. So it's
Jesus.
not even 2 ounces. So that's cool because you can just go out there and throw it on your regular baits. But honestly, you're going to be catching something that's eating a 9-inch bait. You got to
Right.
have
So you're
something a
probably
little
gonna
bit.
need a pretty decent setup
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
But
So,
the
but
idea, the concept, the fact that it is so light right there is just
right.
like, whoa,
And
dude.
the other application that you have because of its soft bait like this,
Mm-hmm.
you are now able to fish that around structure that you weren't able to do before.
What?
Because when you had a hard bait,
Mm-hmm.
you don't really want to be chucking that hard bait into like accidentally hitting a dock, accidentally hitting a boat,
Mm.
because you don't want to be dinging up that boat. You
Uh-huh.
don't want to be dinging up your bait.
Ah.
You got a soft piece of rubber that you accidentally hit a boat with. No harm, no foul, dude. You didn't
Right.
dent that boat and you didn't mess up your lure.
Right.
So you don't have to worry about hurting that stuff. And because of how it's soft and you don't have to worry about it dinging off stuff, I bet you could skip that bitch under a dock. You haven't been able to fish a glide bait under a dock yet. You know, that's
No
something
way,
that just
dude.
didn't happen before.
Wow.
So it depends on what your weed situation
Of
looks like,
course.
because it does have a treble hook that's underneath it.
Yeah.
And the way
That's what I want to talk about at some
so
point on this thing.
the way that it's, I didn't see how it was hooked up, but the way that it looks is it's almost like the idea of a through line, but it's like you got the eyelet in the front, so you got the loop,
Mm-hmm.
and then that from the loop it goes down to like a swivel, and then it goes back to the treble hook,
The
and
treble
then
underneath it.
there's like a slit in the belly, so one of your hooks goes up into the fish basically. And I don't know what's holding it there, but they said that basically like when you cast it underneath stuff, it'll hold the hook there. Because I think when you start fighting it, the bait actually comes free.
Whoa.
So then instead of the whole bait adding weight to your hook,
Uh-huh.
where it's trying, like that's a counterweight to kind of pull it out of the hook's mouth, once you're hooked up, the hook is basically in the fish's mouth, and that
Whoa.
the weight of the bait is kind of hanging, it's
Uh-huh.
like 2 inches in front of the fish. So I don't
Whoa.
know exactly how that's hooked up, but the one hook goes into the belly, and then you have the other 2 hooks that are outside of it, kind of like a reverse frog,
Oh,
you know?
that's how it was.
So,
I couldn't
yeah.
stop staring at that like weird chain underneath from its mouth
Yeah.
to its underbelly. And
Yeah.
I couldn't figure that out. That was my only note. I'm like, what's up with
Yeah.
that thing?
So the thing is, like, you can't put the hook right in the front, because then your hookup ratio is horseshit, because the fish literally has to swallow the whole thing.
Right.
So you try to move the hook back far enough so the fish actually gets the hooks in it. And then you have it on that chain instead of a fixed deal. You have it on that chain because it should be able to like free fall once the fish actually hits. But how it's hooked up in there, I don't know. I haven't really played with that stuff. So, but that's the idea, is that when you catch the fish, the hook kind of pulls away from the bait.
It does what you said. It kind of breaks the bait in a way. It breaks the bait free and the hooks go in the fish.
Right.
Cool. Yeah. That thing's fucking crazy looking. I'm excited to hear what you get with that.
Oh yeah, dude. I am definitely excited to get my hands on that one. And that one, I don't know if it'll be out this year. It's kind of a weird timing, right? I didn't look into it, but we normally talk about icast stuff when it's like
in July,
cold, and we get excited for the new stuff that's going to be coming out. Some of this icast stuff that was released is out right now. Like, it's just like, this is a new icast release. Like Omnia, I saw Seth doing a little ad for Omnia being like, this was an icast release. And he's like talking about a Daiwa reel that they have now.
Yeah.
That was just like released.
Yeah. Some things were doing that, but the majority of it was it'll be later this year. It'll be in the fall. We'll get it out this fall. And I wanted to talk about that timing quick. Like, we'll talk about it quick. I mean, man, we're coming 15 minutes till 2-hour mark. About 15 minutes till 2-hour mark. So without getting into it too much, is the holiday season really big for fishing, or do they just want to get it out before the end of the year so you can get hyped for Christmas? Like, what's up with the timing on that?
Dude, I don't know. That's what I'm confused about, because I thought it always was like icast was later or earlier. I never thought it was in the middle of summer.
Yeah.
That's what I'm confused about.
Okay. I mean,
So
it's been
that's
in
why-
July since we've been doing the podcast, but
Really?
yeah, well, maybe not the first year, but I know for sure it was July last year. It's July
I'm
again
just
in
brain farting.
2024.
Damn, maybe I'm just dumb.
But no, here's why I think you're making the connection is because this has life to it, because everything I saw was either out now or out later this year, like in the fall or late fall or something like that, is what people kept saying. And so it will come back around when these actually launch. You're going to hear icast best freshwater plastic. It's
Sure.
all the hype is going to come back because these manufacturers are now going to market using the icast award and stuff like that. And so brand new, available to market now. Back in July, we won icast best soft plastic. It's going to be like shit like that. So you're going to get this like hype again. And I am a little bit surprised to see fishing going this route, because this is to make the tie to video games. This is happening in video games a lot, where they do the out now. They've been able to hide it somehow, and then they get to a big hype moment presentation, and they're like, and you can go download it right now. And it's like, oh shit, it really hits in a different way. And so I wonder if that's happening in
that
fishing
makes
area
sense
now too.
That makes sense. Yeah. I really thought that it was always like earlier or whatever, where I'm like, hopefully I get that out, but it could be. I just don't remember like looking. For some reason, it's not computing to me where I was looking, like seeing all the new lures come out like mid fishing season, like in the heat of everything, where I'm like,
sure,
damn, I don't ever remember being like, damn, it'd be nice to have that lure right now when I'm fishing,
right.
It always felt like when that comes out, that's going to be dope. Like that's what I was waiting for.
Right.
So I don't know, man.
Yeah. It's interesting, because I would have thought that they would have been saying in the spring. Like I figured that's when they would drop all this new stuff, and everybody kept saying later this fall. And I'm just like, yeah, that's what the video game community does, because then it's holiday season and everybody gets their new consoles and all this other stuff. And so when you're doing your June video game show and you say later this year, everyone just goes, well, I mean, that means it comes out before Christmas.
Right.
You know what I mean? And hearing these fishing guys go, oh, later this year in the fall. And I'm just like, well, I get that fall has fishing season. We've talked about that many times on the podcast, and I'm, beginning to understand it. But then, you just hear all these things that they're talking about, and it's just like, well, that is probably matching the hatch, like type shit. So,
and they seem to release whenever they want, though. Cause I know, I want to say there was another reveal, and I don't know if it was at icast or if I just saw it on Rappler's website, but they were talking about how they have a new series.
Yes. Can we talk about that?
Well, you're talking, I got the soft plastics is what I'm going to get at for like, that I definitely want to talk about, but do you see the new hard baits?
Oh, no.
So the new hard baits, I don't know if I sent that one to myself, but the new hard baits, it had a specific name to it, and now I can't remember what the hell it was. Here, I have it right here. The new hard baits. It does say icast 2023. The PXR Maverick, and it says that when approaching the task of an ultra premium suspending jerkbait, so ultra premium. So basically, from what I'm taking from that is that they're trying to move into the categories of like what Mega Bass and them guys are doing.
Okay.
Where they're talking about, like $25 a lure
Holy
type
shit.
Yeah, which is not what Rapala is right now.
No, not right now.
And it says Rapala is introducing the first lure in the new PXR family, the Maverick 110 jerkbait. So the thing about them talking about that is when I thought it was this one, but I thought someplace it said that is coming out in, it says Rapala underneath. It says icast 2023, but it says new for 2024.
Okay.
So that one's not coming out till next year.
Right.
So that was the point I was getting at.
Yeah.
But not trying to get off on a tangent about that, because we should just finish it up with what you were talking about and what I'm excited about, because they have tried other stuff, and I don't know if they bought other companies in the past, but they did not have good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Their soft plastic in the past, at least the one that was most recent, was called Trigger X.
Okay.
And Trigger X was fine, but it was like one of those where they're just like formulated with pheromones and whatever. And you're like, yeah, okay, that sounds cool.
Yeah.
And I remember using them, and they worked okay. I had this one big bait that I ended up catching a real big pike on because it was a giant, like, soft plastic creature bait. But it was like, I think that was just a creature bait. I don't think it had to do with the smell or whatever. But those didn't do so hot, and then they just kind of went kaputs. And that was technically Rapala, but I don't know if they just bought another company and they owned it for a little while, that came out, or what.
It wasn't up to Rapala standards, and they kind of just went
because they never released it as just being like, this is Rapala. This new one is Rapala.
Yeah, dude.
It is Rapala Crush City.
And
it was designed by Jacob Wheeler.
Yeah,
and if you don't know who Jacob Wheeler is, he just won the last I shouldn't say just one. I don't know for sure, but he won real recently.
Yeah.
But I thought
he's an MLF champion for sure.
I thought he was like is he in MLF now?
Yeah.
I thought he just won like the Bassmaster Classic or some shit.
No,
I don't know.
That was Gussie.
Yeah, I'm tired. I forgot. I was looking at some of the notes of the people.
But we got to talk about Crush City for sure, because I was like,
hey,
what
guys,
is going on?
Yeah,
I hope Tim's doing the research, because what the fuck is Rapala doing, dude? I'm just like, whoa.
Yeah.
Because they're based out of Minnesota here.
Rapala worked with a guy who good at fishing, and then they made baits. I don't know. Sorry. And I also wrote down, not an ad, just excited. I wrote that at the top. Like, just so you guys know, this is not an advertisement. I am just excited about these baits because they do look very good as well.
Yeah.
So currently there's 4 soft plastics, I believe.
Okay.
So you have the cleanup craw, pretty standard. You know what it's going to be.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say it's standard. If you can find the icast videos, it's a very cool way that they displayed them too, because they have like the models that are made out of what looks like balsa wood.
Yeah.
And they're big as shit. So
they're
you can see like a blown,
dude. Yeah. It was really cool.
Yeah. So you can see a blown up version of it.
Yeah.
And then, like, clearly that's like the 3D model that they had. And then they're like, all right, shrink that down and then make a mold of it. And we'll inject it with our soft plastic, which they do say is, it sounds like it's kind of like on the same, like it sounds like people are taking a page out of Z-Man's book, because this one sounds like it floats like Z-Man stuff.
Okay.
And it's more elastic like Z-Man stuff. Also what Northland is getting into, their stuff is elasticy and floats. So I think they're all kind of getting into the same area, because Northland has its own soft plastics now too, but I don't know if they go to icast.
Yeah, I don't see anything, Northland. So I do question that as well. Yeah, I'm very curious.
So maybe they'll try to get in. I don't know if you got to pay to get in or what, if they're just like, Minnesota knows what's up. But so you got the cleanup craw, which is a crawfish. It's a nice crawfish. You'll just have to go check them out yourself. But
lots of ribs in these too. Like the whole collection was very like, I never really seen ribs like this before. I didn't look into it a ton, but like they were doing
Yeah.
something different with those ribs, it seemed like.
Yeah, definitely. Like this one definitely looks like the water can like pass through everything, and I don't know if that's gonna help kind of like move the scent or what, or
Mm,
if it's just the holes can help move the water more, disperse it a little bit more, give slightly different vibrations, because that seems to be what Wheeler was talking about on some of this stuff. He wants just the slightest little. He understands.
right.
He definitely knows the finesse fishing
Hmm.
aspect of everything.
Right.
Um, and so you got the Bronco bug is the next one, which would work like a trailer. You could fish it kind of like a craw. You could put it on a jig, like a skirted jig. You could
Hmm.
put it at like Texas rig, that one too. So that one's just anything that you have bug. That's kind of like a creature
Bug.
bait. It could be a trailer. It could be whatever.
Sure. What was
And
the
then
bug shape? I don't know if I saw that one. I think I did, but like, because crawfish is
it's
crawfish. I mean,
it's kind of shaped like a crawfish, but the
yep.
crawfish has like more exaggerated claws, where the bug is kind of like straight.
Okay.
They're not like mandibles. It almost be kind of like weird sticks.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
I saw that one then,
but those
but
should move. And that one's probably not as aggressive as well. In the water,
mhm.
those feet probably move a little bit less, and the craw probably moves a lot more.
Right. Okay.
So it's depending on what. Sometimes they want a lot of movement. Sometimes it more subtle is the key.
Sure.
So it kind of depends on whatever the day's giving you. And then
Yep.
you got the Ned BLT. Yeah, nice. I
Yeah,
like their
dude.
names. Which is a little stick bait. But Wheeler says that it's completely different material that makes it move like you barely do anything. He claims, I mean, the Ned is like a stick, right? It's
Okay.
it's kind of like a worm. Like if you're familiar with a Cinco, it's like a tiny little stick bait, almost like a worm, but it has nothing going on except for it's just kind of like a stick.
Yeah, like
And
this is a worm. It's like a short worm, right? It still tapers. It's
yeah,
still thick in the middle and tapers off at the ends, but the ends are like dead cut off. There's not a
yeah,
worm tail on it. It's like the
exactly.
mid part of
Yeah,
a worm just thump.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
just a, yeah. And for whatever reason, when you're finesse fishing, because that's what a Ned rig is, it's a bright sun, no wind type day where you're
Mm,
just fishing slow with a bait that doesn't move much because you're trying to entice these guys into biting.
mhm.
And that one, he's like little bit of current, little bit of whatever, or just like fisherman impaired, not impaired, but fisherman, the movement,
Mhm.
just the slightest little bit will make that tail move. And I want to get my hands on these and see what they feel like, because I've had baits like that
Mhm.
where you're like, that thing's pretty stiff and you don't think it's going to move at all. And he's like, this one, you don't really have to do anything to get it to move. And it's like, that's crazy because it doesn't look like the type of bait
Right.
that will move much at all.
Right.
But that's what he says. So that's why I'm saying, like, also not an ad. I haven't got my hands on these, so I can't say.
Right.
I can only say what they're saying.
Are they out
And what
now?
they are saying is getting me excited. They had a whole rack
I
of all
saw.
the shit already packaged. So
Yep.
I haven't been able to find any, so I don't think they're out yet, but
That
they
these were
got to
just
be
packaged
getting
for the show.
close.
Right.
Yeah.
'Cause yeah, they had
You
like a
might have been
fucking
able to buy
wall
them
of
there.
Crush
Yeah.
City, and it was all
Yeah.
packaged up already, and it was beautiful.
Yep. Yep. And so the last one, the one that got me uh excited, was the mayor. They all got me excited, but the mayor is like a shad paddle tail, which is
Oh,
that's what I that's my go-to.
yeah?
That's what I use when I'm talking, like, even for walleye, like that's what I use for walleye fishing. The Northland
Yeah.
Impulse that I talked about here on the pod, that is a paddle tail style like that.
Nice.
And I have multiple different kinds, like there's a whole bunch of different manufacturers.
Right.
Kitech makes one that has like real squid smell or something in it.
Whoa.
So that one smells kind of crazy. And it's just like, I don't know, the fish probably like it. But
Right.
I've caught fish off of that. I've caught fish off of, many different kinds of that paddle tail. I have the Northland Impulse, or not the Impulse, but the eye candy is with the new stuff that they just came out with. I just got some of those. So when I get out there next week, I'm going to be using that, but I haven't got to try those yet. So that's a different swim bait. Maybe that'll be my go-to. The Impulse, I can't find it in stores. I have to order it online, which is not a big deal. But if they stop making it, like if it's not able to order online, then I got to find a new go-to. And if I want to just grab something for the week, weekend, like, oh shit, I forgot I don't have any of these left.
Right.
I
I
can't
got to
wait
run
for it
to
to
the
be shipped.
local spot.
Maybe this is my next go-to, because they make it in a 3 and a 4-inch. And the thing that really excited me about this is because I feel the same way, definitely on some of the like clear waters that I fish and stuff. I've always felt like some of these are so goddamn aggressive, So
like the paddle
tail.
tail.
Did I forget? Oh, there's 5.
Oh,
I passed up the freeloader.
Oh,
it's a minnow, and he's Wheeler said that he designed it for a chatterbait or a spinnerbait trailer.
Oh,
so it's like a minnow, but it has kind of like a stick tail. And how you were talking about the ribs, it goes to a point where it's real skinny, and then it gets big again for a couple of ribs, and then goes down.
Oh,
so there's an extra little extra something like to the very tip of the
tail, basically.
So I think that'll so while you're reeling it in, but I looked at it and I was just like, that looks like it would be the shit on a drop shot too.
Oh,
so I don't know for sure.
Interesting.
But the other bait that I was gonna the Crush City, god damn it, I can't. I'm saying this all wrong. I just said that so many different. The other bait that nope, that's not what I'm trying to say. And then the Crush City, nope, that's the name of the whole thing, not the.
You're tired. Sorry. It's okay.
The Mayor is that paddle tail. Now, some of them have a lot of action, and it seems to work for the bass sometimes, but I don't always catch the walleyes on it.
Okay.
So he says, this is straight off of their website. Every city needs a mayor that is dependable, adaptable, and fearless, ready to lead in the way of all seasons and all conditions. That's why it's my go-to. It works.
Yep.
So this is a quote. I'm guessing this is what Wheeler. The biggest thing more than anything is subtlety. When you look at a shad swim or a perch or a bait fish, when they swim, the tail does not move that much. The density of the plastic is critical to that kick. And it looks like the way the tail is designed, that it's going to be kind of subtle. That's one of the things that Northland Impulse does. It's not a very sturdy tail. It kind of, that's why I like that one so much. And the scent definitely doesn't scare them away. I don't know if it's 100% the scent is what's making them bite, but that combination is what's getting them in there. And if I can match that movement to start,
right.
I can. Like I said, I've caught walleye on swim baits that are like the generic, like Shields brand or the Cabela's, But when you have a manufacturer that does nothing but make baits,
right,
and then all of a sudden they're just like, we've worked with one of the best fishermen in the world to come up with this. You're just like,
oh fuck yeah!
I want all of them. Give me all of them. So,
hell yeah, dude.
I'm pretty pumped on those ones.
I'm so glad you did all that research, because I saw it and I was like, I can't dive into that. I need to go find more. I need to go, I need to keep going and find more. I just have to hope that Tim gets pumped about Crush City and goes in. And you did, and you fucking came through, dude.
Oh yeah.
That's why I was just sitting there in silence so much, because I saw photos. I saw, I read a very small amount about it, and then I was just like, so what is Rapala doing? And the answer is getting into the soft plastic game in a real fucking way.
Hell yeah, in a real way. Yep. Because
sweet.
They have more companies. So
they have a lot.
They've kind of touched on it in like a roundabout way, but it's never been a Rapala soft plastic where it's just like, this is ours.
Right.
So I'm pumped on it.
Right. And that's the part that's what I mean. Like, this is Rapala getting into the plastic game. Like,
yes,
in a real way. They're not.
Yep.
They're not like playing around. They came to play.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're like, nope, this is going to be Rapala. We're going to work with people to design a Rapala soft plastic.
Yeah.
This will be Rapala all the way around. And I don't see how it's not successful and how we don't get more baits.
Sure.
I feel like this is just like some video games where they're like, we know we're going to make another one. We're not going to give you all the features right now.
Right.
We'll save that for the next one.
It's so like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom.
Exactly. Here's your first 5 baits.
And you're going to love
Get excited
them
about.
And be kicked ass, and they're going to kick ass, and they're going to make money, and they're going to fund the sequel.
Yep. What are we going to... What are we going to release all 10 this year and then have nothing to show you next year at icast? The fuck out of here.
Because that's where Rapala's from. They're from that part of Minnesota where they talk like that.
Yeah, where they talk like they're from Brooklyn.
Dude, I heard someone call it Rapala, and I was like, come again?
So I think that's the right way to say it, but I don't like to.
Okay, that's why I was like, what? Because it's funny being from the area of... We're from the area of where Rapala is actually headquarters around, and it's always been Rapala. Everybody calls it. I've never, until doing research for this podcast, I've never heard anybody say Rapala.
Yeah, and it's because rap is like the old Minnesotan word that everybody's been used, because it's used to talk about knocking on a door, or it's used to talk about just talking.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know, like that's why rap is called rap. But back in the day, it was just like you guys, like a youth pastor. You guys want to rap, or like I'm here. My door's always open if you need to. But I remember even from a little kid, me and my great grandma would play 31. It was a card game.
Mm-hmm.
And you would go around and you have all your cards, and then when you thought you had a good hand, you could hit it right away. You get dealt some good hands, and you think you're close to 31, you rap on the table.
Yeah.
And my old grandma Adeline, you rapping? No, I don't know. You think I am? You hear that? Yeah, I'm rapping.
I'm rapping. I love it. I love it so much. Guess who's back? You rapping?
You rapping? Guess who's back? Yeah. Tell me a good hand.
All right, dude. Shit. Go to another 2 hours of icast. That's why I said we would do a special. We didn't totally... No, it was all about icast. I mean, we talked in the beginning there. But anyways... Like, subscribe, please. That helps us a ton. That's really what we're asking about. That's really what we're asking from you as a fellow follower. That was not the word that I wanted to use. A faithful follower of the podcast. I know you guys are out there. I see the analytics, and we appreciate that. But we could use more subscribes and all that other stuff. And that would be the best way to contribute to the podcast. That'd be great. But we do have a Patreon too. If you just go to realaf.tv, you can find everything on the website, from where the podcast can be found to the Patreon page, and even our goals that we're trying to achieve for 2023. It's a good time because it's just info. There's nothing else there. Straightforward shit. What else, Tim? Is that a wrap on icast 2023, or what are you thinking?
That's a wrap on what I did for research. I know that there's a whole bunch more out there. I know that there's a lot of different companies that were bringing new baits, new colors, all sorts of new stuff. So if you're jonesing for more, there's more out there. But that's what got me most excited.
Me too.
And when we came in, we were just like, you think we can do an hour and a half? Shit, I went 2 hours and I cut myself off on some of it.
Yep.
That seems different.